Hey guys, what's been happening? Lots of stuff to tell you about right after this. Big comedy week this week for me, and I want to share it with you. I got to meet Jason Segel, one of my definite short lists of comedy favorites. You've seen him in How I Met Your Mother, movies like Sex Tape, Bad Teacher, and of course The Muppets, and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, both of which he also wrote. So he's a double threat, our Jason Segel. In fact, he also is a musician, and he writes songs and he plays piano. So he's a triple threat. Very impressive. He is in a brand new movie along with Jesse Eisenberg, who was Oscar nominated for his role in The Social Network. Both of those two guys, you wouldn't naturally place them together in a film, but they're in a film. It's called The End of the Tour, and it's coming out right now, and it's what you would call a two-hander. Most of the movie is the two of those guys having a conversation. That sounds dull and boring. Trust me, it's not. And the reason it's not is because they bring incredible acting chops to this role. And Jason Segel, known for comedy, he dives deep. We don't expect it. He plays a proper character. He's researched for 4 months on the role, and he is very deep in a character that's very unlike what we've seen him in before. But what I wanted to share with you, got to meet the guys, and they shared some tidbits about working in the movie, and I wanted to share them with you because it's fun to have tidbits. You can never have too many tidbits. I think it's just really good in life. I can't stop talking about tidbits. I think it's just the word tidbits. Tidbits. Right. So Jesse's tidbits first. Why does that sound rude? So in the movie, there are dogs, big black dogs, and they're featured quite heavily in the movie. And when asked about what it was like working with the dogs, so both guys had some feedback and personal takes on it. So Jesse said one of his most memorable moments from the shooting of the movie, The End of the Tour, was that in order to keep the dogs in the scene, in the frame when they were shooting, they had to put Cheerios on the floor. They literally had to sprinkle Cheerios, and you had a 30-second window before the dogs would finish the Cheerios and then just wander off. And one day on set, nerves were getting frayed. They were trying to just get this shot, set up the lights, and the assistant director just yells out, "Come on, guys, Cheerios are down." And Jesse was very tickled by that. And I was tickled by it too, and I hope you are as well. That's tidbit number one. Tidbit number two is Jason Segel, who also was in many of the scenes with the dogs. He revealed that he had to have salmon down his pants in order to keep the dogs interested in him and act like he was the owner of the dogs and be sniffing around him when he came home and stuff. And he has some pretty heavy-duty acting scenes in the film. He's going deep. Just big props to Jason for going deep while he's got, a pretty tasty meal in his pants. So there you go. 2 tidbits, lots of tidbits so far. Mainly lots of saying the word tidbits. And I'm going to stop right now and get on with the show. My guest today is a comedic actress, comedic impressionist who's worked with people like Jamie Foxx and Chelsea Handler, Cherise Bangs. And I first learned about Cherise when she began dating a stand-up friend of mine, Adam, who said, "I have an amazing girlfriend. She's a Britney Spears impersonator." Now, search your soul for a moment and ask yourself honestly if you could not prejudge a person who's a Britney Spears impersonator. I'll fess up, I did, because I'm a flawed human being, unlike this lady that's on our show today, who I learned is the world's most positive person. Okay, I can only say in my life experience, she's the most positive person I've ever met. And I don't say that lightly because I live in LA and every person here walks around like they're the most positive person in the world. And then the smoke and mirrors wears off and they're not. They're just human. It made me want to learn more about her because it's not smoke and mirrors. She's like a holographic image where every part contains the whole. You see it on the facade, and then you get to know her, and her whole being is authentically positive all the way through. pretty fucked up. Okay, it's not fucked up, but I had to say that because I need to get my explicit rating on iTunes. And one thing's for sure, Cherise Bangs will not be saying that word because she's a happy person and happy people don't say that. And now I've got my little red E and I'm going to be happy. Not that I'm OCD, but if I didn't have an E on all of my episodes, it would look odd and it would stress me out. So we're done with that now. We can resume our incredibly clean episode with Cherise Bangs, who's going to share about what it's like working with people like Jamie Foxx, and also some insights on how we too can possibly be genuinely happy. Let's see if we can crack her. Cherise Bangs. I'm here right now with the world's most perfect female specimen.
You're so sweet.
Cherise Bangs. Hello, Cherise.
Hello, Natalie. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I actually meant that when I said you're the world's most perfect female specimen.
Aww.
I mean, seriously, I don't know anyone who is as positive as you, and both physically and emotionally, you're just also together. At least that's how it seems.
Thank you.
Is it true?
I mean, I definitely have my moments, but I'm doing the work constantly. And that's what I always say to everybody. You know, how can I, like, they ask, how can I be positive, or what can I do to be more calm and that kind of thing. And it's like, I'm always doing the work. I'm always talking to myself. I'm always saying to my thoughts, hey, I don't want to think that. And I'm changing my thoughts around constantly to be in a positive space. And I think the yoga and meditation obviously really helps.
Now, do you do that every day? What's the schedule with the yoga and the meditation?
I do. Yes, I do a little meditation in the morning, and I actually do a meditation with my son at night because I put him to bed every night. And so we do something together, which is really powerful. And then if I have more time throughout the day, I'll do different things for myself. I have several different things that I like to do. I don't always have time to do it, but I think trying to keep having those moments throughout each day, the consistency is really what helps.
How old is he now, your son?
He's 3.5.
And you can get a 3.5-year-old to meditate?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, we do some chanting together and just different things like that are kind of leading towards meditation. I mean, he definitely understands and he knows some of the yoga postures, and he knows some of the breath work, which is great. But the silent meditation, not quite yet, but we're working on it.
Now, the last time I encountered your lovely offspring, he had a nice little habit where he was pooping when he was sitting in your lap. Has he gotten over this charming habit?
No, he's not. I mean, he sometimes does it on my lap, sometimes at other places, but we're still working on poop training him, I guess potty training him. He's fully pee-pee trained and he has been for a long time, but sometimes with boys it can take a little bit longer and we're not forcing it, so.
I see. So he's still doing this.
Yes,
right.
He is. And he's telling me now, Mommy, I'm just stretching my legs.
Oh, that's so sneaky.
Yeah, so he's not trying to let us know that he actually is going poop, but we know.
That is such a guy thing.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is sneaky.
Yes.
Because the last time I actually saw him, he was sat in your husband's lap. And the cool part of this, I thought, was that he did it. And then he said to Adam, yeah, I pooped in my pants. It's not good.
Yes, that sounds like Jacob. He's quite the character. I mean, my husband is a stand-up comic and, you know, we're always doing something funny around the house. So he's definitely got these sayings that are unbelievable.
I like, though, his priorities, your son's priorities in his level of bodily control, that he's aware enough to be like, oh, Paulie Shore, yeah, it's not good.
It's not
This
good.
is not cool, man.
Yeah, and he's and lately, you haven't even seen it yet, but he's been doing voices. And I'm like, wow, he's really picking up on the different things that go on around the house. So it's interesting.
Like impressions?
Impressions. Like he'd be like, I'm this guy now and I'm doing this. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is new.
Has he seen you do impressions?
Yes, he's seen some stuff. I've played some stuff for him and I do voices when I read to him, but I've never done my actual impressions with him.
He hasn't seen you prancing around in a bodysuit like Britney Spears.
No, he hasn't. I try to keep that away from him. But sometimes he does and he's like, Mommy, and he just kind of looks at me like, you're still my mommy, but you look really different.
So let's talk a bit about Britney. Now, I mean, what's the deal with this? I think this is one of the reasons that I just had to become your friend.
Aww.
Because I was doing a gig out in Riverside and Adam had been on a date with you and he showed us your picture on the phone and he goes, I met this girl she's a Britney Spears impersonator. And in my heart, I thought, she's got to become my friend. Someone has got to know a Britney Spears impersoner to make their life complete. And I've done it. I've made it. So
you're complete.
What's the how and the what of this?
Okay, well, I actually won a lip sync contest when I was, I think, 12 years old. And I've always just loved lip syncing and performing. And I've always been a dancer as well. And so a friend of mine said, you know, you really should try this. You really look like this Britney Spears. And I didn't really know that much about her at the time when she first came out. And so I took a look at her video and I said, yeah, I can do this. And so she basically booked me on my first job. And I just was lip syncing and dancing and taking pictures with people and talking like Britney and just having a great time. So I've done that for several years now, and it's been wonderful. And I'd like to thank Britney for these fun moments and these fun gigs. And, you know, that's how I met my husband. I was impersonating Britney and he was the MC. So
how did he approach you?
Well, actually, it was love at first sight. When I drove up, I was already dressed as Britney, and he was outside of the car, and it was literally like we had this electrifying moment, and we both felt it. It was like a thunderbolt, and we were just talking the whole night. And I remember towards the end of the night, we were able to dance with some of the guests, and I pulled him out on the dance floor because I wanted to make sure that he could dance, because I had to be with someone that could dance. So that was fun.
And did you not get a slight bit of concern that what if he had like a Britney fetish?
You know, I didn't get that vibe right away. And actually, he told me, you know, like a couple dates in, he was like, I was kind of, you know, when I heard there was going to be a Britney Spears impersonator, I was like, oh, there's no way I'd ever be interested in a Britney Spears impersonator. And so that right there, I was like, okay, he doesn't have a Britney fetish. This is good. Because I have had boyfriends in the past that have asked me to wear the costumes, and we won't go into any of this. So that's a little, you know, weird.
Okay. And so, like, to what degree in your life now is the Britney Spears thing playing a role? I mean, is this a regular gigs for you? Or?
You know, it's died down a little bit. She has her show in Vegas now. And so I usually only get calls if it's like a diehard fan for something, because she's not really doing anything new at the moment. I mean, she has the show, and I think people are going to see her more. But I was really busy when she shaved her head. People wanted that, but they just wanted her old kind of classic look. So right now I'm probably only doing a few gigs a year as Britney. But there was a time when I was doing a few gigs a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
pretty good pay.
Very good pay.
That's
yes.
awesome.
Yes. Helped me save up to buy a house. So I'm
thank
thankful.
you, Britney.
Yes. Thank you, Britney.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Yeah. So,
and you come from a very musical background. Your folks had their own little folk
yes,
group.
and they still do. They're called Heart Dream, and they're just so adorable and so in love, and their music is wonderful and spiritual and positive.
It's like I feel that you and your life and your family are in a bubble that was maybe in existence 100 years ago, where people just had a child and they played music together and everybody's happy and lives a normal life. And yet here you are in entertainment, which is one of the most trying and dubious and can be very seedy professions, and you're this fully holistic person. How have you managed to stay who you are?
Well, you know, I think because of that bubble I lived in, I didn't really even realize I was living in a bubble until I went to college. And I was like, wow, not everybody's like me. You know, not that I expected everyone to be like me, but I honestly didn't realize. And I kind of went into almost like a little depression myself, because I just started to see that, oh, wow, these people didn't have such a great childhood. I had such an amazing childhood, and I was so grateful for it. And that's when I really learned, like, wow, I'm just so grateful, and I want to serve more and do more. And I think that helps me in the entertainment business, because it doesn't matter if I get a no, because I know in my heart that where I'm headed. So it's all going to work out. And I truly believe that. And so, of course, I might be like, oh, shoot, I really wanted to get that. But then I'm like, you know what? On to the next. It's just really quick for me. And I'm grateful for that. If I didn't have that, I don't think I'd still be in the business.
I'm going to put a magnifying glass on exactly what you just said.
Okay.
That you don't care when you get a no. So this is something we all have to face, everybody in the entertainment industry. I mean, I've got horrible sensitivity to disappointment from having to deal with it so much. So from that moment, like, what's the last thing you really wanted that you didn't get?
I really wanted this Disney show that I was up for, and I was on hold for it, and I didn't end up getting it. And of course, when I found out, I was like, oh, you know, your heart drops for a moment. And then I said, you know what? That's okay, because I made a fan out of these casting directors, and I know that the right thing is happening for me. And I really do believe that because I've seen it time and time again. You really just have to stay positive because the more that you're grateful for, the more that you get to be grateful for. And it works. It truly, truly works.
Don't tell me the secret's real.
It is real. I'm telling you, it is so real. There's so many experiences that I've had that have just pointed me to yes, yes, yes.
So when you didn't get the Disney thing, was it really just a moment, or do you have to kind of take a beat and do you have to receive any kind of disappointment and accept it and let it go? Or is it just a second and on?
Honestly, this one was like a couple breaths and I was done with it.
A couple of breaths?
Honestly, I know that sounds like for some people, but a couple breaths. And because honestly, I don't have time to worry about that kind of stuff. I have my son, I have other things that I'm doing. So I think the more fulfilled you are in your life too, doing other things, the quicker it is for you to just go. And the other thing is for me, my intention is so strong and I really believe it and I really have faith in it. So I know that if this was a no, that's okay. There's a yes around the corner. And I truly do believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when the couple of breaths happens, I mean, is it acceptable if someone maybe has a couple of breaths in a pot of Haagen-Dazs? Is that still part of the...
Of course. That's part of life.
That's
part of life. I mean, for me, I've worked hard to get here. I mean, there was a point when I would, eat a chocolate bar, or what, there's different things that I know I sound really goody-goody, but that's just, it's different for everybody. But for me, I've just gotten to a point where it's like, okay, I'm letting this go and just moving forward.
You are goody-goody, Cherise.
I am goody-goody.
You're so goody-goody, but I'm like a bit goody-goody, but nowhere near as, like you make Gwyneth Paltrow look evil. That's how goody-goody you are. You're like, I question, how could she not become a nun? Because you've got this purity about you.
You're so sweet.
And you're married, and you're the only person that I've met that I can't picture your husband actually having sex with you.
My gosh.
When you meet a couple, you always for a split second, it's like, oh, I see them together. And with you, it's like, no, she's married, but it's still a violation. He shouldn't be doing that with her.
You are so funny. Yeah, I have no comment on any of these things.
But you do have an incredible purity about you.
Thank you.
And I bet you that there is something to it, literally, physically, there's a purity because you are super careful what you put in your body, husbands aside. I mean, he's a DJ, whatever, no comment.
Yes.
But, you've never, it's right, you've never had you've never eaten any animal
Yes, I've never had meat before. Meat. I mean, my parents chose to be vegetarian before I was born, so I was never curious either. So I've never, by accident, I think I've had it twice, and I freaked out one of the times. Because I love animals so much, and I'm so grateful that I was raised that way, and I have no desire to eat any kind of animals.
Yeah, that's good. But you do have milk and that kind of stuff?
I don't drink milk, but on occasion I will have cheese, and I do eat eggs. I try to eat the certified humane eggs just so that I know that the chickens are getting lots of air and land and stuff like that.
Yeah, and is the main reason, what is the main reason of not the meat? Is it the cruelty aspect or is it the health aspect?
It's a spiritual aspect for me. I just feel like, that's pretty much it. It's a spiritual, and also the cruelty. I look at these animals. I look at cows, and I look in their eyes, and they're just so sweet. I just couldn't imagine doing harm to any animal.
Right. Yeah. No, I can appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, both you and your husband, you've got this holistic and health awareness that's pretty fascinating because you always seem to know the cutting edge new fads and trends of things. And it's always very exciting to get them off you. So most recently, Adam has told us about the bulletproof coffee.
Yes.
So give a quick pitch for our listeners of what bulletproof coffee is.
Bulletproof coffee. I mean, I've only had it a few times because I usually don't drink that much caffeine just for me because I'll get really hyper and I don't need that because I already have so much energy. But it's amazing. What it does is, depending on how you make it, you use butter and you can use coconut oil or there's another kind of oil you can use. But that helps to actually sustain the energy for you so you don't feel a crash from it. And if you're going to work out, especially having that right before is amazing for you because you'll get the energy and you won't feel a crash at the end. I think I just repeated myself on that.
And how does the butter not make you fat?
The butter doesn't make you fat because I'm not sure, actually. We might need to ask Adam on that.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know that much about.
And then you've got, because I've been to your house or your other house you had, and you have these things that look like they would be unhealthy. You've got a pot of what looks just like fat. It's like somebody did a liposuction, and you've got the jar of it in your fridge. It's so gross looking. Is it ghee or something?
The ghee.
Yes.
Oh, okay, ghee I can talk to you about for hours. Okay. Because I'm Ayurvedic yoga therapist, so ghee is it's wonderful for you. It's clarified butter, so the cream on top has been cleared off. So it's so good for your whole body. It's good for your joints. It doesn't make you fat. It actually makes you healthy and feel good. So I would recommend ghee for anyone.
So what do you do with it? You spread it on
You can put it on toast,
or
you can, what I like to put it in is something called khichdi, which you know because we gave you the recipe for that at one time. But it's a mung bean and rice dish, and it's very healing for the body, and that contains a lot of ghee. So it's really good in like rice and beans and things like that, and mixtures.
Maybe we'll actually post this recipe then on the blog. I'll put it with this post so
it's
that
the most
you
healing
guys
Ayurvedic dish.
We'll put a recipe of Cherise, and you too can be so pure that you really shouldn't be having sex with anybody.
Oh, is that what it is now?
Well, that's awesome. Well, let's get to your sort of glamorous life. We'll stay out of your sex life for a bit.
Okay.
So you've worked with some of the top talent in entertainment. So let's talk about that a bit. Like, for example, Jamie Foxx.
Oh,
you were on
yes.
his sketch show. Now, what was that like?
Oh my gosh, he is so awesome. He is so talented. Honestly, I can't say enough about him. He on set would break into song, and he has great impressions. He's just so multi-talented. I mean, I didn't get to work with him actually in the sketches, but he was there like directing and just involved. I mean, he was like the executive producer of the show, and he just blew me away. And he's so good looking too.
He's a handsome guy.
Yes, he's very good looking.
Yeah, he's a handsome guy. I met him at your event.
Oh, that's right.
So that was the In the Flow with Aphie and Crockett show.
Yes, that was a great show.
It was a great show. It was very funny and a classic example of you get that thing and you think this is it.
Yes.
And then what happened with that show?
To be honest, they were gonna air it at a certain point, and then it got pushed, and then it got cut down in terms of the episodes. So I'm not sure. I'm just glad that they actually aired the episodes that they shot. And I had a really good time playing the different things that I got to do, and especially being Sarah Palin, which was really fun.
Yes, I've seen your Sarah Palin on YouTube, and it's really great.
Thank you.
It's a great impression.
Thank you.
When Jamie Foxx was, working and executive producing, what's his kind of demeanor on set? I mean, is he low key? Is he really man in charge, or is he more lurking in the background and other people do the talking?
He's very focused. I mean, you can tell that he definitely is in control, but not in a manipulative kind of way, more just like focused, and just he knows everything that's going on. You could really just see everything working, and he's got great ideas, and he's very funny.
Yeah, he's ridiculously talented.
Yeah.
Now let's see, who else have you worked with? You did something with Anne Heche.
Yes. Oh, she was wonderful. I did a sitcom that she did just briefly called Save Me, and I got to do a scene with her, and she's wonderful and such a nice person too, and very funny. I mean, she also knew exactly what she wanted and was very prepared, and I learned a lot just by doing that one scene with her.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I just learned that, it's not, people look at celebrities and think they have it so easy, but, she works really hard, and you can tell just by how prepared she is. And it just goes to show you that no matter what and wherever you're at, you still have to work at it. And I could see that work ethic. And I think that's such an attractive quality to see in people in general, just discipline. And I think that's a huge thing that I work on in my daily life, is just stronger discipline.
I don't even know how you manage. I mean, with a child. I mean, I don't have children. I've got pets, and they're like my children. But to have a whole other person that you're responsible for, I mean, what time do you get up in the morning?
It varies anywhere from 5 a.m. to like the latest,
5 o'clock.
7 a.m. is a sleep in. Let's just put it that
Wow.
way. Yeah.
Wow. And so do you have like a babysitter that looks after, or do you guys alternate?
He has school, which is great.
School
he has a
now.
wonderful school, and we also have a babysitter. But a lot of times it's between my husband and I.
Okay. Yeah. And when you were doing sketch, I know you also were on Chelsea Handler's show.
Yes, I
Playing
was.
Britney Spears.
I was. Oh my gosh, that was such what to expect at all. We were just told there was a bunch of impersonators that we were going to be having like a fake dinner with her for a scene on her show. And we got there, and it was like she zeroed in right on Britney. and had all these things that she was saying to Britney. And thankfully, I've done Britney for such a long time that I had all these things that I could, spit back at her in Britney's Southern accent. So it was great.
Yeah, that's good.
She was also very focused and knew exactly what she wanted. So, I mean, I could see why she's where she is now.
Yeah, yeah. I think Chelsea has a very level head.
Oh, boy. Yes.
We work together quite a bit with comedy shows, and, she's really talented. And you hear a lot of people diss Chelsea just because she dated a very important person, But she was already on her way before she dated him. So
yes.
I always kind of stepped to her defense there. She was already a talented girl. He didn't make her talented.
No, it's true. You can't, you have to, when you get there, you have to have what it takes.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're going to
exactly.
get knocked out. And she's been at the top for a very long time.
Right, exactly. A lot of the famous people you've met, actually, courtesy of Britney, haven't you? You played her on the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
Yes, I did. That was so much fun. I was on a sketch on the show. And
how fast is that production? Because they're doing so many things. You in and out in an hour?
It was so fast. I think I was there maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And wow. Most of it was just with the wardrobe. We did like 2 or 3 takes. I don't even remember at this point, but it was quick and they got what they wanted and boom, then it's on the show.
And you're one of the lucky people in Hollywood who is actually part of pop culture history, because you were on That's So Raven.
I was on That's So Raven. And honestly, that was one of the most fun roles. I got to play a character called Cream, and I had this huge blonde afro, and we got to do like a whole routine with it. It was awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite shows from way back, you even guested on that, Just Shoot Me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that was awesome. I got to work with Enrico Colatoni, and he's awesome. He's such a great actor and so funny. And and we had great conversation when we worked. And
I saw that scene and I thought you were great in it too.
Thank you.
So what do you how do you bill yourself? Because you're focused on comedy. Do you just sort of bill yourself comedic actress, or do you keep it general actress?
I am an actress, but I'm most interested in comedy. That's honestly my favorite thing to do. I just have so much fun. I love to do characters, and I love different situations, and I'm always studying different comedies and reading about comedy. So it's kind of my thing. I'm most interested in that.
I always understand people who get into comedy because they're very depressed and have difficulties in life. But for someone like you, what is the draw to comedy? Because you have a great life and you're happy.
I know. I do. Thank you. I just love it. I just always have. As a child, I was just such a ham. My parents have endless videos of me doing my own commercials and just just playing around and whatever. I've just always been drawn to it. It's just something, at a couple times I've said, should I let this go now? Should I just focus on my yoga and just be a mom, or just do this or just do that? And no, I never can let it go. And every time I say that, I book a commercial. So I'm grateful. Right now I have a Lowe's commercial running. So that's really fun. It's a very fun spot. So
are you with, what product are you holding? And
I'm not
holding flogging
any product. We actually, we created a new word on the commercial, and it's about this new living room that my friend has, and it's a very fun little 15-second spot.
Okay.
So.
Is it like buying you a car, this commercial?
Well, it could. I'm happy with my Prius. This is my 4th Prius. I'm just such a fan.
I have to hate you a little bit now. Officially.
Right.
Your purity is tarnished, Prius driver.
I know.
So, but they're good, those. That's a national commercial, right?
Yes, I'm so grateful for that. Yeah, it came right before Christmas. So what a blessing. What a Christmas present for me.
So here's a dilemma for you.
Yes.
Cherise, you're a vegetarian. What if you got asked to do a McDonald's commercial?
I wouldn't do it. And actually, I've told my agent, and she's so cool about it. She knows I've been a vegetarian my whole life. And I just told her I'm not interested in doing something like that, just because it'd be so fake for me to promote something that I just would never take a bite of in my life.
But what if it was like $1 million?
I wouldn't do it.
Still wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't do it unless I was promoting like their new like vegan veggie burger or something, But
what if it was $10 million?
I don't think I would do it. It's not worth it. For me, it's it's my lifestyle.
Right. Wow. That's pretty noble of you.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I have to like you again a bit. That made up for the Prius. So
thank you.
So you're not going to eat a burger. The commercials, do you find that it's a tricky line to walk? Because when people see you in commercials, then they're like, oh, well, we can't put her in our sitcom because people think she's the Lowe's girl. Does that impact you at all?
I don't think it would impact me unless I was the progressive girl. I mean, I think she's probably signed something saying she can't do other things, I'm sure.
Right.
But I think at this point, you know, they might say, oh, I've seen her in that commercial, but it's not like, you know, I haven't been attached to anything yet. And not that I would mind to be as long as it was the right product, but that hasn't happened to me yet.
She would be very wealthy now, wouldn't she?
Oh, yes.
She'd be worth a lot of money. I met somebody who claimed to have been on the production of the Verizon Can You Hear Me Now?
Yes.
So they told me, and I don't know how would I be able to prove this is true, but she adamantly told me that guy who's the Can You Hear Me Now guy, his contract was worth $49 million because she said they bought out his life for 7 years. He couldn't do anything at all. So even if he was offered a role to star in a Tom Cruise movie, he would have to turn it down. And that's part of what they're paying for.
Yes.
And so even if that's even partially true, I always just thought, imagine how it would be if you went to the audition knowing that. And all he has to go is like, can you hear me now? And I'd just be like, I would want to give it my all. I'd be like, can you hear me now?
Do you want me to say it 100 times? Because I will. I know, right?
I'll stab myself while I'm saying,
exactly.
Can you hear me now?
He's retired. I mean, good for him.
Yeah, and he's young too,
Yeah.
right? I wonder what he's even doing.
I don't know, but God bless him.
And he's got to spend the rest of his life with people going, I can hear you.
I know, but who cares, right? For $49 million, that's great.
So acting-wise, you want to do comedy. Now, do you also, a lot of people, they write and create projects. Are you doing any of that sort of?
You know, I haven't had time as of late, but I there are some things that I want to write. I've been keeping some notes and kind of writing things down about ideas that I have, but I just haven't had time lately. I'm so busy with other things right now.
Yeah, well, we want to do some stuff together.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we did some improv together.
Can I say something about you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. I just have to say, Natalie, you are the most talented female comedian I have ever seen. And I will not forget the first time I saw you perform. I was just blown away and just like, wow. I mean, my jaw hit the floor. You're just so talented. And I remember when you were talking about like us working together, and I was just so excited because I think you're so amazing, and I'm grateful.
Oh, well, thank you, Cherise.
Yes.
Well, right back at you. And we've come up with sketch ideas, and hopefully those will be making it into something behind a camera soon, so it can be available for people to see. Yeah, it's good to work with people that you like and get along with and everything. Now, another part of your life that's separate from the entertainment industry is, of course, you're very into yoga and savvy and knowledgeable. How big is this in your life, and what are you actually doing on that front?
Well, this has actually been a really big part of my life. Actually, my whole life. My parents actually did yoga. So I started really at a young age doing sun salutations. I remember doing sun salutations with my dad, and then continuing that practice throughout life, and then finally deciding, you know what? Hey, I should do this as well and become a teacher. And so my teacher, Mas Fadal, was amazing, and I ended up deciding to get my yoga and Ayurveda therapist license. So now I see people, I consult, and I do privates, and I teach at a studio. So I'm busy with that, which is great when I'm not doing acting. I think it's just such a great balance because, like I was telling you earlier with the 2 breaths, I mean, honestly, the yoga and the meditation is what allows me to be so grounded and just go, you know what, I'm just going to keep going and just trust and really be in the moment.
How does somebody do a meditation for people? I mean, I've always been curious. I've done some meditation, but sometimes it's very easy to get in your head because you're just thinking, I'm not supposed to be thinking. I'm not supposed to be thinking right now.
Yeah, well, it's not that you're not supposed to be thinking. It's just that you should become the observer. So if it's hard for you to sit and be quiet, which for a lot of people tell me, I can't sit and I can't shut my mind off. I understand it takes a lot of work, but you can start doing things like japa meditation, which is where you're repeating like affirmations to yourself or repeating something over and over again. You can even do it in your car. Wayne Dyer talks about this a lot. Like if you get to a stoplight, you just take a moment and you just focus on the breathing, and you can repeat something to yourself. It can be an I am statement, like I am thankful, I am grateful, whatever it is, just whatever you're working on. Like if you're working on overcoming fears, I am brave, whatever it is, you can stop and do that and let that kind of resonate. And then what happens is these kind of thoughts become seated in your mind. So it helps you throughout the day. If something goes off, then you can come right back to that thought, which is really powerful. And so
And what did you call that meditation?
Japa.
Is it with a J? Or?
It's with a J, Japa, Japa.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So it's like repeating things to yourself, positive things to yourself. And it can be like a Vedic chant, if that works for you, or it can be something like I just said, like I am statements.
So Vedic, is that one of the branches of yoga, or is that an overall umbrella? What does Vedic mean?
Vedic is a term for ancient India. So basically like a Vedic chant is something like Om Namah Shivaya or Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And some people might think that sounds crazy, but these are old chants that have been repeated for thousands of years. So they have like a really strong energy and power with them. So if you feel comfortable, I mean, some people don't feel comfortable with that. Some people really resonate with that. Like for me, because I grew up very Eastern philosophy, I love using those chants, and I use those for myself and for my son. And, they really work for me, and they have different meaning behind each one.
What does it mean?
Om Namah Shivaya is basically helping you to destroy the ego and to be coming right from the heart. So it's very powerful. And Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha is referring to Ganesha. Have you heard of Ganesha before? The elephant?
Is the elephant with all the
yes,
8 arms and stuff?
Not 8 arms, but that's another deity.
Okay.
But Ganesha is the elephant.
No, not an elephant with 8 arms.
Ganesha is the elephant head.
Okay.
But Ganesha is known for removing obstacles, creating new beginnings. So that's a really great one to start with.
Why an elephant, do you think?
It's an ancient story just about how that all happened and how he became Ganesha. And so basically, I don't want to bore anybody with going into the story, but he basically ended up having an elephant head, and then his power is basically to help remove obstacles and new beginnings. So
Are elephants supposed to have some mystical quality or something? They do?
Yes. Well, I think they do. I think they're beautiful animals. I don't know if you've ever experienced. Have you ever been with an elephant or been close to one?
I've only seen them at the zoo, which is always very sad. I've grown to be a person who's against zoos.
Yeah, we really haven't taken Jacob much to the zoo just because of that same reason.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, for somebody, so if you're driving in the car, you can say these affirmations to yourself while still paying attention to the road.
Well, no, only when you're stopped. I'm not saying
Okay.
I mean, if it works for you, you can be saying it while you're driving, but, definitely pay attention to the road.
Okay. And for actual, what we consider perhaps what most people might think of traditional meditation, where you're sat quiet, maybe in an upright chair. I mean, I've tried meditating when I lie down and it just becomes a nap.
Oh, yeah. You have to, I think part of some people, that's good for some people, but if you're able to, sitting up straight, having a straight spine and letting the energy move from the root of your spine to your third eye is the most powerful. And we have something called chakras in the body. Are you familiar with chakras?
I have heard and aware of chakras.
Yes. So basically, when you're meditating, what you're doing is you're helping to awaken these chakras, which are energy and emotional panels in the body. So you're helping to awaken and allow yourself to free yourself from some of the stuff we've kind of built up. Like the ego has all this padding. So we're just trying to get rid of that so we can get to the truth of it all, basically. And so meditation helps you to just go within and really get the answers that are already there.
So how do we get rid of this padding? I want a how-to immediately.
Remember how I was talking about discipline? It takes
Yes.
discipline.
Okay.
I mean, there's something in Ayurveda called sadhana, so creating a daily discipline for yourself. And so creating a space in your day, just like we create time to go to the gym or we create time to have lunch, we have to create time to go within. And that can be different forms of meditation. So whatever works for you. I think like the japa is a good one for people starting out, and then silent meditation. And then there's also guided meditations, which are incredible for people and when they're just starting out. So there's several guided meditations you could check out on iTunes.
I've done some guided meditations.
And how did you like it?
Yeah, I did like it a lot, actually. I remember doing one, and I think it was Edgar Cayce's.
Ooh.
Yeah, because when I was a young girl, I'd read a book by Edgar Cayce. He was a very renowned American psychic person who could go into a trance and basically tell anybody in the world what was wrong with them. And he had this incredible accuracy. I think he did about 14,000 readings while he was in a trance, and literally would tell people how to cure themselves. So you can look him up on YouTube. But in his guided meditation, I remember you go up a mountain and stuff. And it says, and a person is going to come to you with an envelope. And it was Simon Cowell.
Wow, that's pretty
That's
cool.
who popped into my guided meditation.
Are you watching X Factor?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
But of course, I knew who he was. I was at the time a big fan of American Idol.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But that was, so Simon Cowell showed up in my guided meditation.
Very cool.
And he gave me a letter with something in it. And I guess you're supposed to look at the letter through the guided meditation. I don't think it worked very well for me, that particular one. But maybe I was just distracted because it was Simon Cowell.
Yeah, that could distract you, definitely.
And with the yoga, I mean, I've been interested in yoga. I've been sometimes, a friend will take you to a class and I've had injuries because they'll have you roll over on your neck. And I'm just not like in a shape because I'm not primed for this kind of thing. If someone wants to start out into yoga, there's all the names of tons of different types of Bikram yoga and Hatha yoga. Where does the person start?
Well, for me, I base it off of their dosha type. And are you familiar with dosha?
No, Cherise, I'm not familiar with dosha.
Well, that's the, I practice Ayurveda. And so in Ayurveda, there's 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is air, Pitta is fire, and Kapha is water, earth. And so basically we all have all 3 elements in our body, but there's usually a predominant one for each person. Sometimes there's 2 that are more predominant. And based off of those, you can kind of tell what type of yoga you should do. Like for a Vata type, the air type, you're constantly going and it's nonstop with the mind, which you have some Vata in you, I know. A more gentle yoga or a more restorative yoga is better for Vata types because then it helps them to slow down, to be grounded. So that's what I would recommend. For a Pitta type, the fire, that's a very competitive type person or somebody that's very, usually athletes are very strong Pitta types. And so for them, you need to do, a strong practice, but keep it cooling because Pitta types tend to sweat a lot. And it's funny because a lot of times Pitta types want to do like Bikram, which is the hot yoga, because it's like it kind of amps them up even more, but it's not so good because it gets them even more heated, which is not the best.
So what is the relaxed type of yoga then that I should do, and what's the other one for?
Oh, okay. So restorative yoga. So you should do something that's a little more gentle and just something more grounded because you need that time, even though you may not like it at first because it causes you to kind of slow down and just to kind of relax more. It's definitely the type of yoga that would be best for you.
But would it fall under, what would be the name I'd look for?
Oh, it could be any style.
Oh, really?
Usually in any type of studio, they'll have like a gentle yoga or a restorative yoga. Those would be the ones that you want to.
So they actually put those words.
Yes.
I was thinking it would be like
but Hatha yoga is one of my favorite. That kind of encompasses everything.
It's funny we're talking about the Indian stuff because I looked on your Twitter profile. Is it just at Cherise Bangs?
Yes.
Your Twitter. Okay.
Yes.
And it's all very yogery.
Yes. I can't help myself.
And I'm one of these people. Ironically, I've always kind of felt like a bit like making fun of the new age stuff. And then, as you know, I had a very mystical experience.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, in 2012, which was life-changing. So I don't make fun of things quite so much these days, but I'm looking down your timeline and it says, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's a quote from Nikola Tesla. And it was actually called Vedic sage,
yes,
who quoted it. And I'm like, oh, she's quoting these Vedic sage. Like, why isn't she just quoting Rob Delaney?
Right,
she's quoting Vedic sage. And then, but when I read the quote, I was like, wow, that's again sums
resonates,
up,
right?
Well, it sums up. Which, in a nutshell, for listeners, I will disclose. In a nutshell, I had a very strange experience in 2012. Where my blood pressure had crashed really low. And I guess I went into a fainted state, but I was still conscious and could speak. And I started speaking scientific information. And thank God I had 2 witnesses, or else nobody would have believed me and I wouldn't be able to talk about it. But my first sentence that came out of my mouth was, everything is an illusion. It is all our perception of an infinite range of frequencies and vibrations.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's sort of, and then I was 16 months researching that, and you were a part of that with me because I didn't want to tell people at first.
Right, because you thought they would
think
you're crazy, but you knew I wouldn't think you were crazy.
I knew you wouldn't. And of course you didn't. You were like,
I didn't. I was like, this is awesome. Tell me more.
Yeah. So of course, and then that's the quote that I just saw from Nikola Tesla. And that sums up exactly what I was speaking about when I had my experience, So
Yeah.
what do you have to say about that statement, everything's an illusion?
Well, I believe it is. I believe that I believe that we are souls in human form. And so I feel like this is all an illusion. We're here obviously for a reason, but to know that we're in it, but we're not of it. So to always have that kind of going in the mind. And that's why, like you were saying, how can you just take 2 breaths and be okay with it? That's why. Because I know that this is all an illusion. And so I'm just going to be the best that I can be. And that's all that I can do. And as long as I'm doing my best, that's it, And that's what just makes me feel relaxed and calm almost in any situation. I mean, I've definitely been through some things that have taught me that's the only way to be.
What's the most hardest and difficult time you've had in your life?
I actually had a breakdown at one point and they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I had kind of gone away from my teachings and my blood pressure skyrocketed. Yours went low, mine went. And that's when it was just like, okay, no more of any of this. I had wrapped myself up in too much drama and what they call in this world, Maya, and I needed to take a step back and go, okay, I got to go back to what I know is right and what I know is the truth.
And how long ago was this?
This was, I want to say in 2004 or 2005. So
Okay.
that was a real turning point for me. Like, okay, I got to go back to my roots.
What triggered it?
I was in a really bad relationship and I was really trying to make it work because I didn't want to abandon anybody, and I always want to try to see things through. And this was just a situation I just had to remove myself from. And it was hard because I was really wrapped up in it.
And how did the breakdown manifest itself? I mean, what did you do?
I couldn't swallow. I couldn't breathe. I mean, it was literally like I had never experienced anything like that in my life. I had to go to the emergency room and really learn that I got to take better care of myself,
Sounds like a panic attack.
Yeah, I think it was. They couldn't figure out what was going on. They just thought I was dehydrated, which I wasn't, but.
And did it just come on that one day or was there a period then that you went through?
Well,
where
there was
you
a period before and after where it was like it was coming on and off, and that's when I started to take control and really go into my sadhana, my daily practice and my discipline. I had to turn to that and make it strong. Otherwise, there's a chance of going back to that.
Don't you find it amazing how the body will tell you when your life isn't right and when you're not doing the correct things in your life? I mean,
Yes.
look, how more dramatic can you get than your body took your breath
Shutting
away from
down.
you?
Yeah, it was like, okay, you're done with this. Like, no matter what your mind is thinking, you are done with this. And the body's like, done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that a lot as well. So
Yeah.
it's great to hear you share about that.
Yeah.
And how long would you say till you felt, really centered and back on track after that?
It definitely took me a few months to, I kind of got caught up in a few other things. And then I realized, hey, I've got to put my spiritual life first for me. And so then I took a little step back and that's when everything started to kind of fall into place again for me, which was thankfully.
And you married a guy who, when he met you, was not
Thunderbolt. It was like, I had to know this person. I had to be with this person. We felt that right away. It was energy, frequency. It was like we were just vibing on the same level. And so
nothing to do with your hot, sexy Britney Spears outfit.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that helped, but
could that be the bolt of energy?
That could have been
Adam
a little.
felt?
Well, he hadn't seen my costume yet.
Okay,
Actually, he only could see my face, so
Okay,
that was good
fair
because I was
enough.
in the car. So
Yeah,
there.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, he is hilarious first and foremost. I mean, we're laughing all the time, and
Okay.
I think that's such a strong thing to keep any relationship. Spiritually, we're on the same page. I looked at him when we first met and just said, these are the things I believe. I don't want you to be the same as me if you're, but I want to be with somebody that's interested in evolving spiritually, whether it's on my path or their path or whatever. So we both looked at each other and knew we wanted to evolve more. And so that's such a key thing for both of us because, we don't know where we're going to be in a month from now, but we know that spiritually we're on the same page. And we're always going to be growing that way. And we have that connection together. And I think that's such a powerful connection to have between the two of us.
How healthy and wise of you to say right up front, let's just be ourselves.
That's the only
Let's
way.
just be
Both of us
ourselves.
had been married before. And so we were just like, we'd been through a lot of different types of relationships and we were just done with all that and didn't want to have any drama. And we both actually weren't looking for anything. And what's cool is that we both had a feeling right before we met that we were going to meet somebody really important. And not that we were looking for it. It was just this feeling that we both had. Like if you ask him, he had it. And I think I said to my roommate at the time, I feel like I'm going to meet somebody. It was very strong.
So you've been married, which now I remember you saying you've been married.
Yes.
It didn't work. What would you say to people getting into relationships? What did you learn from that you now can take away that you wouldn't make the same mistake twice?
Well, I just wasn't being honest with myself. That's really what it was. I knew that I really loved this person. For a very long time, we were in love, my first husband. But there was a point where I knew that I just wanted to be on my own and experience life on my own because he was my high school sweetheart. So I had really never dated before, And so I think you just have to really know who you are before you enter in a relationship. You have to feel complete, because otherwise you're going to be always wondering what's out there or what, And I think when I met Adam, I felt complete. And I felt like I was looking for someone to share my life with, not to complete me.
So knowing who you are, who are you?
I am somebody that loves life. And I'm a grateful person and I feel complete. Like when it comes to things, if it doesn't work out necessarily the way I was thinking, I'm able to adapt, to just accommodate. Like I feel like I've had so many experiences now and I've really gotten time to know myself and go within that, I'm able to handle things. Like no one is in control of my happiness, basically. I decide if I'm happy or not.
Do you believe in The Secret?
I do.
Do you think there's any problems with it?
I think the only problem with it is that if you are just using it for material things, I mean, there's nothing wrong with material things, but you need to be able to have what's behind it. And I think the thing behind it is that discipline and taking that time to really give back to yourself and to give to others. And really having that strong intention, but knowing that you can't make anyone else do anything. And some people I've spoken to about The Secret, they're like, well, I wanted this person to be my girlfriend and they weren't my girlfriend. And you don't have the power to control other people. You only have the power to work with your own energy and to make things manifest for yourself, not with other people, if that makes sense. Well, that's the only problem.
Well, then how does it work then? So if a guy's got a crush on a girl, and he's thinking about her and he's got a vision board / stalker board of this girl. And I mean, theoretically though, wouldn't the Secret say, well, he's going to get that girl?
Well, The Secret would say that he's going to get someone like that and not necessarily that person because you can't control other people. I really believe that if you have someone like for me, I had a picture of Orlando Bloom on my vision board, not because I wanted to be with Orlando Bloom, but because I wanted to have a man similar to what I was feeling from that picture. And so the feeling of it, I think the feeling of it is so important. Like the picture of Orlando Bloom had a picture of his third eye, like with red kumkum on it, which is basically like meaning I wanted someone that was open spiritually.
Spiritual person.
And so this picture of him is so funny. It looks like Adam. It's crazy.
Wow. I want to see this picture.
I'm going to have to show you this picture. So I think it's not about the actual person, but it's about like finding someone like that and the qualities like that. And it's amazing how so many of the things on my vision board actually came to manifestation.
Wow. Orlando Bloom on the vision board. That's
well,
a
he's
secret.
pretty cute, right?
That's something I've learned about you today.
Yes.
And because you're in a partnership with a person and you're both in entertainment, I always wondered, you're both really talented. I, of course, am a super fan of you. But Adam's really talented too. But you're just like, I think you're exceptionally talented and there's no reason you shouldn't, by what most people's definition are, make it. Now, how do you feel on that spectrum? Do you want to make it? Do you just take day by day and be happy with what you've got? Do you picture have you got a big mansion on a vision board somewhere now?
Well, it's not about a mansion for me. It's just I want to be working, and I'm grateful because I feel like I have made it because I'm happy with my life, and I think that's for me is wanting to be happy is the most important thing, and I'm so excited because I know there's more things coming. I truly believe that, and I see those things, and I visualize. I think visualizing is a very powerful tool too, to really visualize something that you're interested in and feeling the feelings of having it now. That's something that has really worked for me. And so I feel like I have made it. I'm so thankful. I have a wonderful husband. I have a wonderful son. I have a commercial running. I have my yoga practice. I have, projects that are coming in. So I'm grateful. I'm happy.
Is there any area that you feel lack?
No, I don't. I'm thankful, and I'm saying yes to the universe, and thank you. I'd like some more.
Right. Excellent. Yes. And so everything sounds pretty perfect. If there was something that you could have happen next week, or a phone call off somebody that would just add to things, what would it be?
Okay, yes. If that's what you're asking, then yeah, next week I'd like to get a call saying that I booked a series regular role on a sitcom. That would be, yes, thank you.
Right.
Yes.
And because you're full of wisdom and you're full of wise words, if you had to sum up to leave people with the secret of life, because you've come from a history of people who've been very spiritual and well-versed in spiritual practice, what's the secret of life?
The secret of life
no pressure.
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, is, realizing that happiness comes from within. I think that's the secret, because so many people are looking for it outside of themselves, or wanting to make themselves, look better, or do this, or just only if I can get this, or only if I can get that. But realizing, oh my gosh, like this moment is so amazing. And realizing that as long as you can feel that happiness, regardless of anything, you're good.
What about somebody who's really depressed right now? What would you tell them?
I would say to maybe see somebody for help, first and foremost, because I'm not, a psychologist or whatever. But I would say, that I wish them well. And I hope that they can find something that helps them, like maybe a guided meditation, or I don't know, because I'm not depressed. So honestly, I don't want to answer that, because
maybe that was an unfair question.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what to say, because I don't want to
talking about what to do.
No.
I'll take over here, Cherise. Here's what you do, guys. When you're depressed, okay. On number 99, here's what I did. So the first thing you do is you acknowledge you're depressed, and really just like, yeah, I'm really, really depressed. And the thing actually that I used to do, and I found a bit very helpful, is things can be very overwhelming for people when they're depressed. And I know this firsthand. And I would find if I gave myself tiny little things to do, like I would literally look at a pen on the table and just go, move the pen. And I'd reach forward and move the pen, and there'd be this tiny sense of progress, and that I had control over circumstances. And then if I could manage, then I'd say, make a cup of coffee. And then I'd make the cup of coffee. And if you can make these baby steps, you can actually help wade out of a depression and make some progress. And what's most important, I think, and my only expert I claim is that I have been depressed, is that you can reclaim a sense of control over your life. And I think the lack of that is what causes a lot of people to be depressed in the first place.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, I don't know firsthand, but I think what you said is really great. It gives you purpose. And
I
think
really
that's
great.
Yeah,
Sure.
it is. It is really great. It is. You're right.
No, I'm just trying
Mic
to
drop.
compete with Cherise and her ancestral pathways to the all-being wisdom. Well, this has been really awesome talking to you.
Thank you, Natalie.
And people who want to learn more about you, they can go to Cherise.com.
Woohoo!
And I mean, seriously, did you get that domain in like 1849?
I did. No, actually, my boyfriend in high school, when, things were coming out, was like, you should get Cherise.com. He was really into like the whole computer movement at the time. And so he registered it for me. And so I did nothing with it for a really long time. And then I was like, you know what? I got offers from other people to buy it from me.
I bet you did.
Several people. And I still sometimes get like an email saying, hey, yeah.
You almost have to turn into like an Oprah type character.
Right?
Now, just because you've got the domain.
I know.
You could be an Oprah type person.
That would
with all
be
your positive
that would be
stuff.
so fun.
And
I would actually really love that.
Yeah, and I'll just be your guest negative experience person. You can do all the, and I'm like, when you feel like crap, I'll come in the show.
No, Natalie.
So go to Cherise.com and you can learn about where you're practicing yoga and this sort of thing.
Yes.
And another reason you're actually lucky that it's Cherise.com is because your full name is Cherise Bangs. And shockingly, you kept this name.
Shockingly, I did. But you know what? For comedy, it works out great. People aren't going to forget the last name Bangs,
no, they're
right?
not. But I just think it's the most ironic name I've ever heard.
Yes, it's actually my family name, my dad's last name. So,
And here you are so prim and proper. It's like Cherise Bangs, not that kind of thing.
Yeah. Trust me. I got a lot of that stuff in junior high and high school.
Yeah.
And actually, I was on my way to a Britney gig one time, and it was like in Calabasas in this gated community. And I pulled up, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Cherise Bangs," and he just wouldn't stop laughing. And I was
nice.
I need to, go to this thing now. And he just wouldn't stop laughing. And I'm like, is something funny? He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, your name. And he just was like busting up laughing. And I was just like, okay.
Wow, that's nice. So, anything else you want to sign off on? Are you done?
I'm done.
Well, it's been awesome talking to you.
You too.
And you look great as always. I'm going to post loads of pictures of you on my blog. And I'm going to, for everybody out there, I'm going to put some of her sexy pictures.
Whoa.
And you will understand why, for me, it's such a contrast that she's got this holistic life. And here she is looking like the hottest Britney picture you've ever seen. So I'll put them all.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yeah. And you can go and leer. So thanks, Cherise
Thanks,
Bangs.
Natalie.
Well, there you go. I know who I'm putting forward to represent the human species if aliens invade our planet. That is a grade A human. Cherise.com to learn more. And while I'm here, I want to plug the next episode because we have comedy royalty joining us next on The Grey Escape. Mark Beltzman, who is one of the original members of I.O. in Chicago. He's come up the ranks with Second City alum like John Belushi, John Candy, Chris Farley, and he's going to share some wisdom also from his decades in comedy and in life. Go to thegreyescape.com for sexy pictures of Cherise, the recipe, and show notes. That's a wrap, people. Catch you next time on The Grey Escape.